Kia ora e te whānau. So, after my video the other day of what I was up to, I asked if there were some things that you might want a tutorial on and see how to do. So, some of you said in the comments that you would like to see how to do Linocuts. So this is gonna be quite a long video, but I want to set you up for success. So, these were my first Linocuts, and they're terrible. So everyone has to start somewhere, right? So this is where I started. They print okay, they're great for little clusters, but they are terrible, and I know that. But they were my first ones, so I keep them just to know where I came from. And you might also think, hey, if I'm going to start one, well, I might do a small one. Going back now, I don't recommend it. The smaller it is, the harder it is, considering how much accuracy and control you need on this guy in order to get the shape that you want. I would actually recommend, and I'll show you these in a second, probably about this size. So you can buy these guys, and I've just split that one up into 3 smaller ones, 5 centimeters each, and I just get these from Temu. Then I try and put these out in some sort of order. I can't actually remember which one I did first. Let's see. Those were definitely later ones. So after I've done about 4 of those little circle ones, you can actually buy them in circle shapes. And yeah, I think that one was my next one. And then this one. And then this one. And then that one. And then that one. And now I've worked my way up to something like that, which I showed in my video. So I did quite a few before I got to that degree of accuracy and knowing what I'm doing and how to control the tool and everything. So I don't want you to think, oh yeah, I'll give that a go and do it the first time and you're disappointed by the outcome, because remember these guys, okay? All right, second of all, there's a couple of different types of lino. I prefer this pink one. It's a lot softer, it's a lot easier to carve. You can get this type, and I've got this one's from Gordon Harris, which is an art supply store in New Zealand. It's a lot thinner and it's a lot more difficult to carve. This guy is soft like butter to carve, and you can see there's a huge thickness difference there as well. So I'm not saying that some people don't prefer to carve on that, and you might too, and that's absolutely fine. But what I will say is I prefer carving on this stuff. Okay, the next thing we need to know, and I've got 3 samples here, is positive versus negative. So this one here, if I want this leaf image to print black like it looks now, it's called a positive, which means I will carve out all of the pink in the background. I would, if I were you, start with a pattern more like that. You will get a degree of success that you're happy with. You'd carve out all the pink and you'd stamp it, and you'd get that cool leaf print that's a stamp all of your own that nobody else has. I will do that one as an example of a positive. Now, at this stage, positive, negative doesn't matter. This would be a negative. So this means that all of this black I'm going to carve, which means all of this will stay as is and print black, and what I've carved is going to print white or not print. The reason why I think it's good to do one like that, and then you might even do the same as that, but the opposite. So for this one, you would carve out the black of this, and for the first one, you would carve all around the outside. It just starts to build your idea of what you want to carve away and what you don't to get a good amount of contrast. And then the third one would be being able to mix that up, knowing what you want to print and what you don't want to print, and when things are overlapping, how you're going to define those two areas without worrying about white being against white or a carved area being against a carved area, etc. So if we start with this guy, and I will probably just time lapse the actual carving once I've explained a few techniques on how to use this guy, because it's just a matter of practice. Remember, these guys. So you always carve away from you. I always use this teeny tiny, don't know if I can get it into focus, little one. So if you buy a set of these, they come with about 6 different tools usually, and this is the smallest one you can get, and I prefer this one. It's also good to know that no matter how little, tiny little bit you think you haven't even scratched the surface, if you are inking it up properly, that part that you just carved out will not print. I always thought you had to go quite deep. You don't. So all you would do, and you will notice with me quite a lot, is rather than turning my tool too much, like if I was carving up to about there, I probably wouldn't turn this. But when I'm carving in these areas, I'm more likely that you'll see me turning the actual lino and my hands actually staying still. That will give you a greater amount of control when you're carving. When you're starting out, don't make these lines here too fine, because it's very easy to have a slight slip and go straight over it, and then you can't put that back. So over here you'll see, which is the one that I recommend you give a go first, is that line there is a bit thicker, and you'll go slowly. So I'll start off in real time, probably for about 30 seconds, just so that you can see the actual speed that I'm going. And remember, I've done quite a few now, so I'm probably moving even a little bit faster than you guys would to begin with, or that I did when I began. So, and you can start wherever you like. It doesn't matter, just wherever feels comfortable to start. Okay, so if I start in here, because I still want that to be a point, there's 2 ways I can do it. Either I can start really gently and then push down a little bit further as I go up, or I can come back this way, and this is just personal preference. And you can scoop up before you get to that other stem of the leaf. So it's completely up to you. That's about how fast I tend to carve. And then rather than carve this all in different directions, because you'll see, for example, on that one, some of these lines still print, and I quite like that. I don't want it to print like a silicone stamp, or I would just buy a silicone stamp. I want it to print like a linocut, which means that some of these little lines still remain higher than others and still print. So yeah, I would go around the edges of the cut first. For two reasons. One, because it gives me the direction that I'm now going to go to cut out the rest of it so that it looks like it's sweeping around the leaves. But the other reason is because if you do have a slight slip, you're less likely to go into the area that you didn't want to carve. So then I would just follow the same shape all the way over until I've cut all of that out. And as you can see, for some of them I might go in this direction and some of them I might go in that direction, and then I would probably come up here and follow that line up, and then that will give you, see how that would actually look quite interesting, kind of almost like a fingerprint rather than it just going in all random directions. And then I can see there's a bit that I've missed there. But what you would do is you would do as much as you think, then you'd stamp it, and that's when you see all of the little bits that got caught with ink. And some you might want to leave and some you might want to get rid of. And that's what I usually do, because like I say, you can't put it back, so you may as well just do what you think needs doing, give it a stamp, and then go from there. So I will probably just do the rest of this for you in silence so that I can speed it up. So let's print it, and at least then I can show you what I mean. And usually, well, I'll print it actually 2 different ways, okay? So the first way I'm going to print it, and I'll use exactly the same ink because let's not confuse that. So you can already see some bits that are coming up that which this is a really good way of actually pulling it up so that you can see, okay, I might want to carve those bits off afterwards if it's too much. So I probably should, hopefully you can, it looks quite neat on book paper, that's why I was going to show you. So you can stamp it up this way. There we go. I actually prefer to stamp it up the other way. Paper on top. The beauty of doing it the first way is if you are doing it on something that has text or direction, you can make sure you get it in the right spot and going in the right direction. I just find doing it this way gets more ink onto the paper. Ideally you should be using something like a brayer, a brayer, or I'm not actually sure what the technical term is for those round things with the felt on them, but you need to make sure that you hold the paper in place so that it doesn't move, and then you get a ghost print. So there you go, that's what those print like. And from here, see there's a little sharp bit on that leaf that I can take off. There's a little sharp bit up there that I might want to take off, some little bits that I might want to clean up and get rid of, especially these bits up here that are just a bit too heavy. So the next one we want to do is this guy, and this is going to be a lot quicker. You might have noticed that I changed, and you would have seen the huge chunks. This is why I don't usually use this one, but it was just for the background. Way less control on the larger one. That's the difference in the lino that you end up taking out. So yeah, you can be a lot more delicate with this one. So same thing again, but this time I'm going to concentrate on taking out all the black. And one thing I didn't say before was, if you can take the line that you're carving as far as you can, then I would. Because where you stop and start, you can usually see that. Okay, so I will just keep carving away. The only other difference is for this one is you'll see that I take out, I'll show you one. So this leaf up here, well, the outside I wanted reasonably thick lines. These are really, really fine lines. So I'm going to take the absolute minimum possible. So see that teeny tiny little piece? In order to get some of that line detail. So I'm barely even pushing down on my tool onto the lino and just allowing the tool to take a little bit out. Okay, so I will do that. I will do the border as well, because I need to show you, if you want to do lines, the best way to do it is to grab a metal ruler. I cannot for the life of me do straight lines without one. You need to move it slightly away from the line because of the shape of the tool. So what you could do is put your tool where you want it, and then you know how far away you want your line, and that's the easiest way to do your lines, as straight as possible anyway. I mean, the lino still moves regardless. Okay, so I'll finish this up and I will fast forward it for you. Okay, time for a print. So I will do it this way first. So there you go, there's the difference between a negative and a positive result. I definitely prefer this result. And then I will do it the other way as well. And I'm just using regular stamping ink. If you use proper Linocut ink, you'd actually roll it on with a brayer. And there's the second one. So I hope this helps. I think this video is long enough. So if you're still interested in seeing some more and the other more complex one that I've already time-lapse carving, and I will talk about this one and do this one, then look for part 2. Otherwise, until next time, mā te wā!